Hello guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. True God in Another World, Tensura x Tbate, by Tempest_King_20. Chapter 5. Meeting the Savior. Rimuru. Gradually, I became aware of a warm sensation caressing my head. It was a comforting touch, gentle and soothing, like someone was patting me tenderly. Accompanying the sensation was a soft, melodious voice, humming and singing with a soothing melody. As I slowly blinked my eyes open, the warmth intensified, and the voice grew clearer, filling my senses with familiarity. I closed my eyes again, relishing the comfort and familiarity of the sensation. It was as if I was wrapped in a warm, cozy blanket, protected from the cold, harsh world outside. But then, I heard a voice calling out to me, a voice that I knew too well, and it brought me back to reality. "Good morning, Slime-san," the voice whispered. Instantly, I knew who it was. No one else called me that. "Shizu-san, my destined one." "Good morning, Shizu-san," I replied, my heart warming at the sound of her voice. Even though I was aware that this was just a dream, I couldn't help but wish it was real. Nevertheless, I decided to indulge myself and engage in conversation with her, cherishing this fleeting dream. "It seems like you've saved someone else once again," she remarked, her voice gentle and soothing. "He's my younger brother. I will rescue him without fail. In this life, I finally have a family. A family that loves me unconditionally. And I swear to protect them with all my might," I declared, a surge of determination boiling inside me. "I believe in you. But do remember not to exhaust yourself. Your mother worries a lot, doesn't she? Spend quality time with your family. As you mentioned, you finally have a family. So enjoy every moment with them. Don't overexert yourself," she advised, her tone sincere and caring. "No need to worry so much, Shizu-san. I genuinely appreciate every moment I have with them, for no one knows what the future holds," I reassured her, assuring her that I understood her concern. "Nevertheless, I can't help but worry. In the end, I burdened you in your second life. I want you to enjoy this life," she confessed, her voice tinged with sadness. I sighed inwardly, not wanting her to carry any guilt. With a gentle gesture, I pressed my finger against her lips, silencing her words. "Please don't worry, Shizu-san. It's because of you that I have an identity in this world. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be who I am today. So consider it as repayment for the debt I owe you. Without you, I wouldn't have this physical form, and I wouldn't have Seal. I'm truly grateful to you for everything and glad to have met you," I expressed sincerely, my gratitude spilling forth. I wanted her to know just how thankful I was for everything she had done for me. It was undeniably true. If it hadn't been for Shizu, I wouldn't have been blessed with a human form. And if it hadn't been for the skill I acquired from her, Raphael, who ultimately gave birth to Seal, wouldn't exist. My gratitude towards her knew no bounds. If that's the case, I am equally grateful to you, Slime-san. You fulfilled my selfish desires, and I'm truly thankful to have met you, Rimuru Tempest," Shizu confessed, a bittersweet smile gracing her lips as tears shimmered in her eyes. And with that, my consciousness abruptly returned to reality, leaving behind the ephemeral dream that had brought us together once more. Gradually, I felt my consciousness returning. I squinted my eyes as the soft light of the sun filtered through the canopy of the trees. I could feel a heavy weight upon my chest, which swelled a sharp pain in my torso. I groaned and tried to move, but the throbbing ache intensified, causing me to lay still. When I struggled to open my eyes once again, I saw Arthur lying tensely on my torso, having fallen asleep within the safe embrace of my arms. His breathing was shallow and ragged. Less than master, do not move too much. Your body needs to rest." Greater than CL's voice echoed in my head. I nodded in agreement, careful not to jostle Arthur. The pain in my chest was from overusing my mana, a mistake I shouldn't have made. I should have been more cautious about my limits. Less than master, there is someone who wishes to communicate with you, mentally. They do not seem hostile. Shall I allow it? Greater than CL's voice interrupted my thoughts. I raised an eyebrow at the sensation of someone trying to reach me telepathically. "Accepted," I said, curious as to who it could be. Seconds later, a female voice spoke in my head. "Oh, you're awake. How does your body feel?" the voice inquired. I winced from the pain in my chest. It could be better, I admitted. Hey, you're an interesting kid. I saved both you and your brother, you know, the woman's voice said, with a hint of mischief. I furrowed my eyebrows, recalling that our precarious descent had been surprisingly cushioned, and had ended in a safe landing. Are you the one who used magic to ease our fall? I asked. It's nice to know you're not completely clueless, she said with a chuckle. I can show you the way, but you should probably wait for your brother to wake up. You don't look well enough to carry him. I glanced over to Arthur, still unconscious on top of me, and realized that she was right. You're right, I sighed, feeling the exhaustion creeping back in as I focused on recovering my depleted mana. FGHTING against bandits proved to me that I was weak. In the past I relied on Seal a lot. Even when I mastered my strength I still depended on Seal, even when I had become stronger. When it came to problems that required thinking, I always passed them off to Seal, admitting defeat before even trying to find a solution myself. This realization made me feel weak, as though I was not capable of facing challenges on my own. It was then that I decided to stop relying on Seal so much. I knew that she could come up with a solution quickly, but I needed to develop myself to be able to think for myself both in terms of my strength and intelligence. Despite not being a slouch when it came to intelligence, my mind was still limited, and I needed intellectual acceleration and parallel thinking to be able to accomplish more on my own. Seal, on the other hand, was the goddess of wisdom and had access to quick and accurate calculations that rarely resulted in any mistakes, even when she was Raphael. So I started thinking of a way to increase my strength. One of the problems I have is my weak body, and it is a problem that can be solved when I grow up, but I can't wait until I grow up and I have to make my body stronger too. With this in mind, I began to think of ways to increase my strength. One of the problems I had was my weak body, but I could not wait until I grew stronger. Instead, I needed to make my body stronger too. As I scanned the area around me, I noticed there was a lot of mana present. So I decided to try something that would cause a lot of pain, as melding this energy with my bones and muscles would make them stronger. It would also allow me to use spells that were usually too taxing for my body to handle. However, I also realized that there was ether present, which I thought could be merged with mana to help strengthen my body even more. I began to draw in all of this energy and focused it on my bones and muscles. As the energy coursed through me, I began to feel an intense pain that I had never experienced before. My bones cracked, and I gritted my teeth, determined to bear the pain to increase my strength. I could feel my body going through extreme changes, as my bones became stronger and denser than ever. I could feel my muscles transforming, no longer consisting of water, protein, fat, and glycogen but instead made of steel. Every tissue in my body was now fixed to my bones with an iron fist. But I refused to give up, as I knew that the pain was necessary to increase my strength. As the pain subsided, I tested my newfound strength and realized that it had increased significantly. When I checked my mana core, I was shocked to discover that it had turned a dark orange. Less than congratulations master, you have succeeded. Greater than less than thank you, Seal. Greater than. I gingerly pushed Arthur away from me, creating some space between us, and discreetly scanned the surroundings. My eyes landed on the mage who had plummeted alongside us. To most ordinary children, the sight of a near lifeless body would invoke fear of death. But for me, it was an ordinary scene, desensitized by the demons who reveled in torture. Often, the bodies of their victims were far worse off than the state of this mage's. The mysterious being who had aided us broke the silence, her voice echoing in my mind. I must say, you are a truly peculiar individual. To not only conceive the idea of manipulating and strengthening your bones with mana but also to affect the ether itself. And yet, you didn't even flinch when confronted with the sight of the mage's broken body. Most adults would recoil in horror or immediately vomit, yet you regarded it as if it were an everyday occurrence. You truly are a weird kid. I offered a small smile in response. Thank you, but aren't you peculiar too? The ability to see from a distance, communicate mentally, and even remotely control mana? Isn't that just as strange? Foo-foo. You make a valid point, the women chuckled. But it pales in comparison to a human manipulating ether. Well, you do have a point there, I conceded. Now came the dilemma of what to do with the mage's lifeless body. It was crucial that Arthur not lay eyes upon the gruesome sight. Just as the thought crossed my mind, Seal offered a solution. Less than master can cremate his body. Greater than less than oh, as expected of the goddess of wisdom. Greater than. Less than no, it's simply because the master didn't think of it. Anyone with a brain would have come up with the same solution. Greater than. Less than oi. Why'd I get the feeling you indirectly called me stupid? Greater than. Less than this is just greater than less than hi. This is just my imagination. Greater than. Less than. Greater than setting aside Ciel's disgruntlement, I approached the mage's lifeless form and unleashed flames, fueling them until they engulfed his body entirely. I spared no effort until there was not a trace left, the flames devouring his remains into nothingness. To my surprise, amidst the crackling of fire, I heard a sudden coughing sound behind me. It seemed Arthur had awoken. Finally awake, Arthur, I've been waiting for you for what felt like an eternity, I exclaimed with a mix of relief and joy in my voice. Rimuru. You're alive, ah, he croaked out, attempting to rise, only to be met with a sharp pain that elicited a grimace of agony. Easy, Arthur. Don't move too much, you'll hurt yourself further, I cautioned, rushing to his side and offering him water and food. Drink and eat quickly so we can make our way out of here. His puzzled gaze searched my face as he questioned, where are we? It appears you've regained consciousness, kid, the woman chimed in, her voice filled with amusement. Arthur, quick to react, shot up in alarm, ready to defend himself. Rest assured, Arthur. She's the one who saved us, I quickly reassured him, attempting to ease his tension. Oh, and I never did get your name, did I? I'm Rimuru, and this is my brother, Arthur. What should we call you? Sylvia. Now, hurry up before nightfall, she stated with a sense of urgency. All right. Let's go, Art, I said, prompting him to nod in response as he followed me closely. After walking for what felt like hours, we finally came to a small clearing with a group of rocks. However, as we got closer, two large stones caught my attention. They were positioned parallel to each other with a small cleft in between. Relieved to have arrived safely, Sylvia spoke softly. I'm glad you got here safely, she said, her voice carrying a reassuring touch. My brother said, nice to meet you, madam? Miss Rocks? He faltered, his brow furrowing as he gestured towards the rocks. Less than. Greater than Sylvia couldn't help but tease in response. As interesting as it would be for me to be a group of conscious rockers, unfortunately, I live in the crevice in between, she replied sarcastically, a mischievous chuckle escaping her. At Arthur's embarrassed blush, I couldn't help but join in with laughter. Sylvia continued, go on and enter through the crevice, but strengthen yourself with mana before you do. I took a deep breath and threw myself into the crevice with my legs fully extended. I braced myself for the landing and finally touched down after a lengthy descent. Looking around, I noticed a figure in black armor that I assumed was Sylvia. Sylvia, I presume, I stated with a slight smirk. Of course, although I expected you wouldn't react much to my appearance, the same cannot be said of your brother, Sylvia said, casting a keen eye upon our reactions. She was seated on a throne of rocks and emanated an aura of otherworldly power. I glanced over at Arthur to see him on the ground with a pale face, trembling as if a gust of wind would knock him over. What are you? He managed to stammer out. Less than well, I don't blame him. She looks like an embodiment of evil or a demonic lord with the aura around her. This is a normal response for normal people. Greater than Seal said. Less than I think you're right. Greater than I responded. Amidst the tense air, Sylvia couldn't resist making a playful joke. Bugs will fly into your mouth if you keep it open that wide, she quipped, a ghost of a smile tugging at the corners of her lips. As for what I am, I won't say anything more than what you can see from looking. It will take some time for me to open the dimensional gap that will transfer the two of you into your family, so until then, be patient and wait here. There are special roots and fruits growing here. You'll be able to live on those until I'm done, she said with a sigh. Grateful for her assistance, Arthur offered his heartfelt thanks. Thank you for everything you've done for us and what you will do. If there is any way we can repay you, we will do for you whatever is in our power. A gentle laugh escaped Sylvia's lips as she admired Arthur's good manners. Such good manners for a child, she remarked, her eyes twinkling with amusement. Do not worry, I am expecting neither a favor nor your gratitude. I am simply doing this for my own amusement. She motioned for us to join her on the throne of rocks. Come. Sit here closer to me and keep me company. I haven't talked to anyone in a while. We made our way up to the throne and sat down, with me on the left and my brother on the right. As we settled in, there was a brief period of silence that ensued before Arthur spoke up, addressing Sylvia. Elder Sylvia, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? His voice was filled with curiosity, and I could tell that he was eager to learn more about the woman who had saved our lives. By all means, young one. I may not have all the answers, but I will do my best to help, she replied with a warm yet wise smile. Her voice was calm and soothing. Arthur wasted no time and immediately began rattling off his questions one after another. Where exactly are we? Why were you here all alone? Where did you come from? How did you get that massive wound on your chest? Why did you save us? Sylvia smiled at him and patiently answered his first question. This place is a narrow zone that is between the Beast Glades and the forest of Elshire. No one knows of this place because I've been warding off anyone who came close, although the cases are rare in the first place. You two are the first to enter into this domain. Arthur nodded in understanding. You can call me Art. You can call my brother Ri too. Everyone does. So you can too. Sylvia turned to me, seeking confirmation that it was okay to call us by our nicknames. I gave her a small nod, knowing that it wouldn't make a difference to me either way. Kokoko. Well, from now on, I'll call you Art and you Ri, she said, her red eyes glazing over as she looked into the distance. Continuing on to your second question. I am here alone simply because I have no one left to be with. While I do not think telling you everything would be wise, I will tell you that I have many enemies that desperately wish for something that I have. My last battle with my enemies left this wound. As for where I come from, very far away, haha. She paused, slowly rolling her eyes over the two of us. And why did I save the two of you? Truth be told, I am not entirely sure myself. Perhaps it's because I have been alone for far too long and long for some company. Or maybe it's because I saw something special in the two of you. You both showed great bravery during the battle with the bandits, especially when you fell off the cliff to protect your loved ones. It's rare to see such courage in someone so young. Arthur looked slightly embarrassed and shook his head, but I was scared too. I didn't have much of a choice. I just wanted to save my mother and my baby sibling inside her. Well, of course I will save him, I'm his older brother. I said. Hey, you are only a few minutes older than me. Art said. Hee hee, even if the difference between us is only a few seconds, I'm still the oldest here. I said with a small grin. Sylvia chuckled softly, seeming to enjoy our banter. Ha 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 ha, I see. Your mother was pregnant. You must miss them dearly. Rest assured, your family and party are safe. As for where they have gone, my sight cannot reach far enough to tell anymore. Thank God. They're alive. They're fine. Art said between crying. It didn't affect me much because I knew they were alive and it's all thanks to Seal. Less than you can praise me more, master. Greater than Seal said. Less than hi, my little manas. Greater than I replied with a chuckle. Less than greater than. The day had passed peacefully. Arthur, his body weary from a grueling day of training, finally settled down on a patch of soft grass, his muscles aching and craving rest. With a sigh of relief, he closed his eyes and succumbed to the comforting embrace of sleep, his breath steady and deep. Meanwhile, I continued to push myself, determined to find a way to get stronger. Curiosity piqued, Sylvia approached me, her eyes filled with intrigue. Interesting, she murmured, her voice filled with a hint of awe. I haven't seen a human absorbing mana while in motion like this. It might be normal for my kind, but for a human child like yourself, it's quite extraordinary. How did you come up with such a technique? A small smile tugged at the corners of my lips as I pondered her question. Well, I just thought of a way to absorb mana while in motion. You see, I have to strengthen my physical body as well, so I don't always have the luxury of sitting down and meditating. That's when the idea of absorbing mana while moving came to me. Sylvia raised an elegant eyebrow, an amused expression playing on her face. I must admit, you are more and more intriguing. Quite the peculiar child, aren't you? I grinned mischievously, thoroughly enjoying her reaction. Well, my parents always said I was a child prodigy. And besides, I haven't heard of anyone spotting a dragon in these lands for a very long time. Sylvia's amusement quickly turned into genuine surprise, her eyes widening with disbelief. How did you? Well, what made you realize that? A mischievous grin spread across my face as I closed the distance between us, settling down next to her on the grass. How about we play a game? I proposed, my voice filled with excitement. A game, she repeated, her confusion evident in her melodious voice. I nodded eagerly, my eyes shining with anticipation. Yeah, a game. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to answer me. Then, vice versa. What do you think? Sylvia hesitated for a moment, her silver eyes searching mine before giving a slight nod. All right, I'll start first. How did you come to know that I am a dragon? With a calm and confident demeanor, I replied, my eyes have the ability to perceive various energies, whether it be mana, ether, or even the essence of one's soul. And when I looked at you, I could sense that your soul belongs to the dragon clan. So, I knew from the moment I laid eyes on you. Sylvia's surprise quickly transformed into curiosity, her gaze shining with newfound interest. Impressive. The ability to perceive and manipulate ether is something only my clan possesses. Well, then, what's your question? Leaning back slightly, I prepared to ask my question. Where do you come from, Sylvia? It's clear that you are not from this continent, and according to your own words, you have connections to multiple clans. It is highly improbable that you live amongst humans here and have not been discovered for such a long time. A thoughtful expression crossed Sylvia's features as she took a moment to gather her thoughts. As I mentioned before, I come from a distant place, on another continent known as Ephiotis. And so, she began to enchant me with tales of her homeland, painting a picture of wonders and mysteries that existed beyond the reaches of my imagination. Listening intently, I absorbed every intricate detail, realizing that this world was even grander and more expansive than I had imagined. The existence of another continent wasn't completely unexpected, but the revelation that there were beings revered as gods by the people of this world, despite not being true deities, caught me off guard. A mischievous glint danced in Sylvia's eyes as she posed her second question. Well, my second question is, who are you, Rimuru Lewin? I've already mentioned this before, I replied, furrowing my brow and feigning ignorance as I attempted to play dumb. But the knowing smirk on Sylvia's face told me she saw right through my act. Realizing that there was no point in hiding the truth any longer, I let out a soft sigh. Less than what am I doing, Seal? Greater than I speed up the thought and asked Seal. Ciel's gentle voice echoed in my mind, offering her sound advice. Less than the master can tell her the truth, just as you did with Arthur, especially since she's already aware of your brother's reincarnation. Greater than. Less than wait, how she know about that? Greater than I asked, perplexed. Less than she searched Arthur's memories and attempted to do the same with you, but I intervened and blocked her access. Greater than. Less than good job, Seal. Greater than I silently praised her. With renewed determination, I began to tell Sylvia the same story I had shared with Arthur, a story woven with half-truths and carefully crafted lies. In the end, I wasn't quite ready to reveal the entirety of my past to anyone just yet. 4 months had passed since Sylvia and I first crossed path. What started as a chance encounter quickly grew into a friendship that I cherished deeply. But as time went on, I felt compelled to reveal my true identity to her, to share the truth about who I really was. However, I made the conscious decision to leave out one crucial piece of information. I didn't let her know that I was a god. So when I finally confessed this truth to Sylvia, her shock was palpable. To say she was taken aback would be an understatement. But instead of recoiling from me in fear or disbelief, Sylvia chose to accept it, to continue our friendship as it was. It was a choice that I found comfort in, the comfort of knowing that she truly saw me, even without knowing the full extent of my divinity. In the months that followed, our bond grew stronger. We found solace in each other's company, especially during those moments when Arthur fell into a deep sleep. She also taught Art the mana absorption technique, or what Arthur called mana rotation, while I thought of a way to improve it, which is instead of absorbing mana I had to make my essence purify itself, and after a few days it worked, but its efficiency wasn't there yet, but it was the beginning. One thing she notices about Sylvia is that her wound is getting worse, and after I asked Seal, she confirmed my fears, explaining that Sylvia's wound was fatal and could not be healed, something that did not go unnoticed by Arthur, and when he asked her, she said, "Do not worry, little one, this wound festers from time to time." When she said that, I knew that she would really die, and she knew that she would die, and when she was building the gate, she accelerated her death, and yet it seemed that she accepted her death, so when Arthur fell asleep, she went to talk to her. "You know you're going to die, right?" I asked her, the weight of my words heavy in the air. Her gaze remained fixed on the construction of the gate she was working on, but she replied softly, "Yes, I am aware." "Why are you hastening your own death by building the gate?" I questioned, my frustration seeping into my words. Sylvia paused her work, meeting my gaze for a fleeting moment before answering. "Because there is nothing left for me. As I've told you, there is no place to go back to." I struggled to comprehend the depth of her despair, the pain that seemed to radiate from her very being. "But what about your child?" I blurted out, unable to control the rush of emotions flooding my heart. A bittersweet smile graced her lips as she replied, her voice carrying a note of melancholy. "I'll give it to you." Confusion washed over me, threatening to drown me in a sea of unanswered questions. "But Sylvia, your race can't be hatched without both parents present. How can you entrust your child to us?" Her gaze met mine, steady and unwavering. "I have not forgotten," she assured me. "I will pass on my will to your brother. When he activates it, the child will hatch. And I trust that you will raise it with all the love and care it deserves." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. It wasn't just that she was willing to entrust her child to us, but that she had been planning this for a while, accepting her own death with open arms. "Why?" The word escaped my lips, laced with a mixture of desperation and disbelief. "Why are you doing this? You can choose to live if you want. I can open my seal and save you if you just ask. So why would you choose to die?" Sylvia's response was heavy with sadness and weariness, her voice carrying the weight of 1,000 lost dreams. "I don't want to disturb you, Rimuru. And even if you were to heal me, my enemies would hunt me down, and you and your family would be in danger. It's better for me to die here. I am confident that you will take care of my child, and for that, I am eternally grateful." Her words cut deep into my soul. "No, I will not let you die." My desperation overwhelmed me as I pleaded with her to reconsider. "You must see your child grow up. How do you think your child will feel without ever meeting their mother? If you want, I can destroy all your enemies. Please, stay with me." In truth, it wasn't just about Sylvia. It was about Shizu, the woman who had once possessed my body. I wanted to hold on to her, to make up for my inability to save her. And now, with Sylvia in a similar predicament, the pain was almost unbearable. But Sylvia remained resolute in her decision, her eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and determination. "You can't, Rimuru. You have to live for your family. I don't want to burden you any more than I already have." Desperation gnawed at my heart, fueling a desperate search for a solution. I turned to Seal, pleading for her guidance and assistance. With a mix of both relief and trepidation, I heard her calm and soothing voice in my mind. She had found a way to save Sylvia. A genuine smile, filled with a glimmer of hope, spread across my face as I turned to Sylvia. "Sylvia, I have good news. Seal has found a way to save you." The air crackled with anticipation as Sylvia looked at me, her eyes brimming with a mixture of surprise and hope. And in that moment, surrounded by the weight of our shared destiny, I knew that everything would change.